To quote Basil Fawlty, it's just another avenue of pleasure that's been closed off, and we don't want it opened up again, do we? No, you don't, dear. Just when you think things can't get any more ridiculous, along comes the ever-dependable Ed Miliband. You'd think that after the start he's had in the Labour government, he would be keen to keep a low profile. But he has not a single ounce of political nous in his skinny body, and so he ploughs headfirst into another media disaster. In Mad Miliband's net zero mind, even the simple pleasures of English life, such as boating on canals and waterways, which are already disappearing fast, must be ruined more quickly in pursuit of his insane energy policies. If you care about carbon dioxide emissions at all, which you shouldn't anyway, the contribution from pleasure boats on Britain's rivers and canals must be a tiny fraction of the UK total, which itself is a tiny fraction of the global total anyway, which makes the UK's entire net zero project utterly pointless, but that's another story. But Mad Miliband doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about how bad it looks, punishing those who are enjoying a holiday or even life on the water. No, all he cares about is net zero by 2050, whatever the cost. Thank God I left the UK in time is all I can say. Welcome back to MGUY, British engineer and lawyer, now Sydney-based YouTuber. If you want to keep informed about all the EV and net zero insanity, like this, that we're suffering at the moment, click that subscribe button down below and enable notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. And you can spread the word by sharing these videos with your friends and on social media. And if you want to help me continue making them, you can buy me a coffee at the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen. It's not just the pleasure boats and narrow boats that will be hit, but all kinds, including fishing vessels, that will now be forced to abandon cheap and reliable marine diesel and somehow convert to batteries and motors. Wonder how those fishing boats are going to charge if they run out of power in the middle of the North Sea. Perhaps they'll just plug into a wind turbine in Miliband's bonkers scheme. Labour launches net zero crackdown on boats. Maritime bosses warn nonsensical measures could sink the British fishing industry overnight. Labour is implementing stricter net zero measures on fishing boats, canal barges and pleasure craft, the Telegraph can reveal. Under the maritime decarbonisation strategy, boat owners will be forced to swap out diesel engines, petrol generators and wood-fired stoves for electric motors, batteries and extra shore power hookups. There will also be tax rises on marine fuel, with new boats required to be entirely electric. Maritime bosses branded the government's plans completely and utterly impractical. Richard Gregson, the owner of Worcester-based Classic Yacht Brokerage, said, "It's complete nonsense to have net zero on yachts. The technology for electric engines on small boats isn't really there. The amount of diesel a yacht burns in a year is negligible, and even if the diesel engines were replaced, it would be offset by the making of electric batteries." Very true. Jerry Percy, the chief executive of the new Under 10 Fishermen's Association, representing operators of craft less than 10 metres in length, said that adding emissions taxes to fuel for Britain's fishing boats would destroy the industry overnight. At the moment we get a subsidy on diesel for fishing vessels. We pay less than you pay for it at the pumps. If they even removed that subsidy, 3/4 of the fleet would go bankrupt, he said. Speaking about proposals to force fishing boats to go electric, he added, "It's going to take some persuasion for companies to build port infrastructure for what is a relatively small number of vessels. I think we need a transition, but it's not going to be easy." Peter Braybrook, the secretary of the National Association of Boat Owners, cautioned that replacing diesel engines and generators on canal boats would be impractical. The major problem is charging them on most canal boats, which are about 7 foot wide and 60 foot long, he said. He added that the available space was not enough to install solar panels capable of charging boats for more than 6 hours operation. Mr. Braybrook warned the net zero measures could trigger a wave of homelessness, as people who lived on canal boats because of the high cost of housing would be unable to afford an enforced switch to electric power. No way they could do it, said Mr. Braybrook. They'd be forced off the water, off their off-grid lifestyle and probably into homelessness. The National Association of Boat Owners warned that many marinas and yards would struggle to afford the installation costs of extra shore power points for electric boats. So now they will have to install charging points along all the rivers, canals and waterways in the UK at huge expense. It's wildly impractical, of course, but that really doesn't matter in net zero Britain. And don't for a minute think that any of the concerns raised by these industries will trouble Mad Miliband. His ideological crusade is deaf and blind to the reality and concerns of ordinary people. His only goal is to force through net zero without any regard for the financial or human cost. He really is the worst advertisement for energy policy you could possibly imagine. And I guess in some ways we should be grateful for that, as it wakes people up to the net zero nonsense much, much quicker.